All right, guys. Our next guest is a former K1 world champion who has fought the best of the best from prior to the UFC and played punch face all over the world. One of the most beloved fighters on this side of the world. He now returns at UFC 221 in Perth in a big fight on home soil. It is a pleasure to welcome the Super Samoan Mark Hunt back to Submission Radio. Mark, welcome. How are you?
Hey, guys. Good, thanks. How you doing?
Yeah, good. It's great to have you back on the show. And Mark, fans are excited to see you finally back in action at UFC 221 against Curtis Blaydes. What's it feel like to finally have the fight booked, especially for such a big card in Perth?
Well, I was booked to fight in Sydney, but you probably know what happened there. But it's good to be back to work. I'm number 5 in the world, and still chasing the dream. I've got 3 more fights left with the UFC, and let's see how we go.
That's right. That's the big dream. Just to sort of go over that journey, obviously you were recently over in America doing the extra medical tests so that the UFC would clear you to fight again. What was that whole experience like?
It was kind of depressing, to be honest, because there's nothing wrong with me. Totally, you can probably hear that, but all that was just an interview taken out of context, and I got cleared here in Australia. Well, not by the UFC, but I passed the medicals here, and I had to do different medical tests in Vegas. But, it is what it is. And, tick that box up and move on.
Well, the good thing about UFC Perth is that you're also on the card with your good friends and teammates, Tuivasa and Tyson Pedro. Was that a bit of a bonus for you to get onto UFC 221 together with them?
Oh, yeah, of course. It's always good to fight at home and fight with all the locals, which is totally awesome. And, just looking forward to going back to work. Yeah.
We heard that Tuivasa, he's one of the only guys who can sort of stand there and hang in with you in training. He's one of your main sparring partners and one of the only guys who can sort of take your shots. Is that true?
Yeah, pretty well. I'm looking at him right now. He's walking. We just finished training. But yeah, Ty's really good. Young guy. He just started his career with a bonus award. So, it's good to see young kids, especially Ty. He's been indigenous to the country for Australia, and, it's good to see someone leading the way, especially for the younger guys. I'm 43. I'm about to step out of this friggin' field of combat sports and, let someone else take control, guys like Robbie and Tyson and Ty and all the younger guys, which is good.
When we spoke to Ty in Sydney, he said you were a bit of a mentor for him. What was that moment like for him? I mean, it must have been a crap experience being at UFC Sydney and not being in that main event, but what was that moment like when you actually got to see Ty make his amazing UFC debut and get that brutal flying knee knockout over Rashad Coulter?
It's good to see Ty make his debut, especially with a bonus, especially in Sydney and his hometown. And, like he said in the speech afterwards, an essay and didn't you stand the fuck up? That's how we do it. So it's good to see. It's good to see a Ty rip, especially for the young individuals. Like I said, it's good, especially for the young kids coming from a negative to a positive background and leading the way. Who does that? Who gets the bonus knockout on his first fight in the big league? So I'm amped and happy for him for his journey to start like this, and to be fighting on the same card, which is totally awesome. Being a part of history again, which is awesome for me as well, especially being one of the old hands. And I'm looking forward to ending my career and going out as hard as I can to try and chase down this gold strap and knocking all these fools out. So
that's right.
I'm totally amped about it, man. Totally.
Absolutely. I'm just curious, what aside from Ty's great fight, what was it like being there in Sydney, not being able to fight on that card, knowing you were supposed to be there and having to sort of watch from a spectator perspective?
Well, it's for me at the end of the day, regardless of what happened to me, whether I said things, I don't take back what I said, I always, I stick by what I said because what was said was true. I don't, they take it way out of context. But to go and support the locals for me was really good. So, like I said, despite what happens to me, I'd rather go and support the locals and just, show everyone it doesn't matter what happens. I'm still part of the scene.
We have to ask you what.
Support the locals, so.
We have to ask you what you thought of the main event between Werdum and Tabura. What did you think of Werdum's performance? And what did you think about the controversy all week around Werdum throwing a boomerang at Covington and getting fined $600 for it? What did you make of that entire fiasco as well?
Well, it is what it is. I don't think Covington should be saying things about the Brazilians or anything like that. It's kind of, it is what it is. People say what they want. But with Werdum, I have my own personal stuff with him. Not personal, but, he said he couldn't fight Japan. He couldn't fight in Sydney. But, as soon as I get pulled, he's ready to fly down here and fight. So, we did ask him out for Perth, but still couldn't get him. But, sure, happy to get a rematch sooner or later. I think it's good business for him to pick someone, to wait for someone higher. Like I said, for him throwing shit at Covington, maybe he did need a boomerang to the face, but he shouldn't have done it that way. He shouldn't be saying things about different countries like that. That's what starts wars, so it is what it is.
Talk to us about, with UFC 221, we understand Blaydes obviously wasn't really the dream opponent. What was your reaction when you found out that you'd be fighting him?
Well, I got it wrong the first time. I posted it, but another guy called me out, but it was the wrong guy. At the end of the day, I don't know nothing about Blaydes or whatever it is. I just, he's number 9 and I'm number 5. I was hoping for someone higher. The only one available was Werdum, but he's just a chicken bitch, and I'll get him later on down the line. We'll get that number 9 and put him out of the way. So hopefully the UFC can give me someone higher instead of giving me someone beneath me. So it is what it is. I just, like I said, ticking the boxes and just moving ahead with the career. 3 fights left. This will be one of them. Another 2 left, and then hide it up, bro. See you later.
So would you be open to fighting on and continuing your contract, or at this moment are you pretty certain that these are the last couple of fights fans will see you and the fights left in your career?
Well, for UFC, yeah, that'll be the end of my career with UFC. I got 3 fights left, and that's it. You probably know the past I've had with UFC, but they say it's business, and I haven't got nothing wrong. I just don't like to be treated like shit, even if I'm an employee, whatever. And I speak my mind about it, and I'll go from there. So, like I said, 3 fights left, and we'll move on.
And just wondering,
thanks, Thomas.
Just wondering, Mike. A lot of guys have gone over to Bellator, and obviously Ryzen is making a big impact in Japanese MMA. Is that something that you would sort of be open to entertaining after these 3 fights? Maybe going over to Ryzen.
Well, of course, I'm looking at going fighting global fights in New Zealand, Australia, and probably Japan. It depends on what happens. Like I said, I'm still chasing the dream of that world title. I'm in a good position to get a slingshot fight, beat this guy, then move on to the top end. It's not going to be easy, but we'll see what happens. And hopefully I get next in line for the world title strap. Go from there. So, see what happens.
Speaking of the world title strap, you would have seen that Stipe Miocic is going to be fighting Francis Ngannou after that devastating knockout win that he had over Overeem. What do you think of Ngannou? Because a lot of people are sort of comparing you guys to each other. A lot of people are saying he's like a young Mark Hunt with devastating knockout abilities. Have you been able to watch his fights, and are you impressed by him?
I did see that. I did meet him in Vegas. Well, he's not a bad guy. I mean, he did call me old when I met him, but
he called you old. No way.
Well, I am the oldest in the universe, but like I said, I don't know if he's a young Mark Hunt. I think he's himself, and that's all he's trying to be. He's got to shot at the title, which is good. I don't like to say anyone's above their pay grade until they actually earn their pay grade. So, like I said, my foundations have been built on years and years of fighting. And some of these guys came out of nowhere, and they get hyped up to make something out of what they're not are. And at the end of the day, if you don't build your foundation strong, you'll soon be found out. But we'll see what happens with them. Stipe will expose that.
I guess the reason why I'm asking is because you've got a lot of exciting fights. If you do beat Blaydes in Perth, there's a lot of fun rematches for you to have. But if you were to fight for the title, would you prefer to fight Stipe in a rematch to get that one back, or would you be excited to possibly fight a fresh new contender in Ngannou, because that would be such a fan-friendly and exciting matchup? And that would be a fight where you knew Ngannou would come forward and give the kind of fight that you enjoy having.
To be honest, I don't care who I fight against. Whoever's got that strap, I want to fight. The time I fought with Stipe, I had to lose 11 kilos the day before. And that ain't good for anyone's resume, especially when someone as fit and strong as Stipe is. I learned a hard lesson that night. It was one of the hardest nights in the office. And, I'm glad he showed me that. You don't muck around at the top end here with all these guys. You don't play around with your weights, especially the day before the fight. I don't care who's got the shot, whether it be Stipe or Ngannou. Once I get that shot, man, on the proper shot, they're going to get it. I'm going to give it to them right in the lips.
The Mark Hunt special. Let's look at Blaydes, Mark. You know, he's a tough, young 26-year-old guy who's obviously fought some gritty competitors. What do you think he brings to this fight with you? And I know you said you didn't know too much about him, but is it sort of refreshing to be fighting someone without a history of TRT or, you know, any previous failed USADA tests?
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, anyone that doesn't take steroids, I'm always welcome to fight. You know, I don't like to sue anyone, but you know, if you're gonna cheat, you know, the only way I can get back at you is suing your punk ass. So, like I said, he's new. He hasn't been caught cheating, and that's good. So, I mean, fighting all of these guys that are cheating. I mean, these guys, it's not a fair advantage, and I've always said something about fighting that not being a fair advantage. And you know, the only way I can hit back, especially if the UFC don't do anything about it, and you know, they say we put it through USADA all that rubbish. Well, you know, that doesn't make they still get through. You know, it's not good. So just trying to even the playing field here, especially with the TRT use in the sport.
And as for the fight, I mean, a lot of people are expecting a big finish here, but how do you see this one playing out down at Perth?
Yeah, I don't. We'll see what happens with the fight. Like I said, I don't know him at all. I leave that the watching the videos to my coaches. All I know is I'll probably be at 110 kilos, 115 kilos, and I'm going to blast this guy off the universe. Get him out of my space. This is my space.
I love it. I love it.
I'll give him the blade kick. You don't know about the blade kick to the face.
What do you give him? The blade kick?
You don't know about the sonic boom blade kick.
Sonic boom blade kick. I love it. Are you?
Yeah. I'll give him the double tap, the right hand double knee with the flip kick, and then the sonic boom just finish it off.
Wow, I love it. Tuivasa.
What about that, eh? That's called taking most of your energy. Yes, say something. Curtis, guys, want to say something to you. Say something.
It's me again.
Hey, Ty, how are you, man? Did you hear about the sonic boom that Mark Hunt just described?
The sonic, that's the blade kick.
The blade kick. He's stealing your moves. That's the Rashad Coulter KO, right?
Oh no, that's not the Rashad Coulter. That's the blade. We learned that from Sensei Reminisce.
Ah.
Yeah, it's a certain kick.
With the monks, training with the monks. We have to travel the mountains.
So what's the official prediction from you? How's Mark getting it done? Sonic boom or blade kick?
In the river of woe.
I think he's gonna do the Super Saiyan. He'll finish him with the Super Saiyan.
Wow.
Hook. What do you reckon?
I can't argue with that. I mean, I think everybody wants to see the Super Saiyan one. What do you think you guys will do to celebrate? We know you guys are rowdy. What do you think is going to happen afterwards?
Oh, you know, we party. That's what we do. After it, we go in, we do the work, we get the treats, and then we party.
Eshays, right?
Eshay.
I love it. Ty, we got to get you on to get your own interview on the show. If you can, chuck Mark back on. We got to finish with him and get out of his hair. I'm sure you guys have.
All right, then. See you, bros.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I love it. Two for one today, Mark. After this sonic boom, this Super Saiyan knockout, do you think you'll be looking to get a sort of quick turnaround after Perth, Mark, and bang out these these 3 fights quickly?
Well, I hope so. I was looking at fighting in Sydney and fighting in Perth. You know, but it is what it is. Hopefully I can get a fight not far after the Perth fight. Depending on injuries, we'll see what happens. You know, I can't really look past Blaydes. I'm just going to have to give him the blade kicks. So we'll see what happens.
We know you're a busy guy, Mark, so we want to let you go in just a second. But before we do, just want to touch on that lawsuit. What stage is it currently in? Are there any updates that you can share with us? Because last time you were on, we know there was a lot of stuff going on with it.
Yeah, to be honest, I can't really talk about the lawsuit, and I can't really have my mouth about anything else like that because, you know, you see what happens when I open my mouth, I get into a lot of trouble. So I can't say much about that lawsuit, so you'll have to see what happens with it.
That's all right.
Maybe ask Dana, he might know.
That's all right. Is there any sort of particular time frame where you think the next big update will come?
That's not up to me, but the updates of the lawsuit. You know, law is law. You can't muck around with it. Like I said, all I was doing here from day one with this lawsuit was trying to make it even, just trying to give these guys more consequences for their actions. You know, premeditating murder as it could be. You know, there's nothing to laugh about, especially competing at the top end and letting these guys that are cheating get these passes. It ain't fair, and that's why this lawsuit is here, because the UFC wouldn't do anything about it. So
Well, Mark, as we wrap up, we have to also talk about juggernaut.com because that's the place where people can go out and grab some great deals on some of the fantastic merchandise that you've got. We saw there's the Samoan Strikes Back. There's a hoodie and T-shirt and that. There's a lot of great holiday gifts for people to get for Christmas. Talk to us a little bit about some of the favorites down at that shop that you want fans to check out and a couple of your favorites that, you may be gifting to family and friends over the Christmas period.
Yeah, man, go check out Juggernaut.com, a website. You can buy all the stuff out there. And so I haven't been doing much with it, but go and check out the website and get some Christmas gear.
There's a bit of a Star Wars. There's a bit of a Star Wars vibe with this. The Super Samoan Strikes Back T-shirt. So for all the Star Wars fans out there who are also big Mark Hunt fans, I mean, it's just a no-brainer to jump on and grab that merchandise. We want to also find out as we go into Christmas. I know you're training hard for your fight, but what are the plans for your family and yourself to celebrate Christmas? We imagine that the Hunt family would have something big planned.
No, nothing really. Just at home and just chilling out. To be honest, just going at home and just spend a couple of days at home. I got to go to work and keep on track of my weight. I'm looking at really banging up these 3 fights. When I come in hard like a freight train, man, be the best Mark Hunt I can be. So ain't no time for holidays here. Time to head down and bum up and get this work done.
Well, there you go, guys. Make sure to...
around. Yeah.
No time for holiday foods, just hard work and preparation. Make sure you guys go to juggernaut.com. That's G-U-G-N-T for obviously all of Mark Hunt's fantastic merch. Follow the man on Twitter at MarkHunt1974, Instagram at Mark Hunt Fighter, and of course like his Facebook page. And don't forget to visit Mark Hunt TV. And of course the most important one, see him take on Curtis Blaydes at UFC 221 on February 11th in Perth. Mark, as always, pleasure chatting to you. Have a great holidays, Christmas, great preparations, and I will see you in Perth. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, thanks for your time, guys. And it's not G-U-N-G, it's J-U-G-N-T.
Sorry, J-U-G-N-T.
J-U-G-N-T. Yes, that's the one, guys. And cheers. Merry Christmas, people, and be safe and stay safe. See you in the new year. Later. Y'all.